students. Today we will start the chapter circulatory system. Now, the circulatory system, it is a network consisting of blood vessels and heart. And the main function of this network is to supply oxygen and nutrients, to transport hormones and to remove unnecessary waste products. Now, every organ in our body, they requires the involvement of circulating body fluids. Like digestive system, its main function is to digest and to absorb nutrients. But after this digestion and absorption of the nutrients need to be transported to every body cell. Respiratory system, they take in air in the form of oxygen. Then that oxygen must be transported to all parts of the body. Similarly, carbon dioxide from tissues and other organs has to be carried to the lungs. Excretory system, extra water, extra salts, nitrogenous waste in the form of urea, that must be transported to the excretory organ so that they can be thrown out of the body. Hormones that are secreted by endocrine system, endocrine glands, that must be carried throughout the body by the circulating fluids. So all such functions that need to be transported are performed by two circulating fluids, and they are blood and lymph. Next, fluids in our body. So there are three principal fluids in our body. First is the blood that is contained in the heart and blood vessels. Tissue fluid that occupies space between the cells in the organs, and lymph, which is contained within the lymph vessels and lymphatic organs such as spleen. Now, what is a spleen? So, spleen is actually a fist-sized organ found in the upper left side of abdomen next to stomach and behind left ribs. Fist means a person's hand when the fingers are bent in towards the palm and held them tightly, typically in the order to strike a blow. That is called as fist. Next is a diagrammatic representation of blood and lymph circulations. Now, it is clear from the diagram that the blood in our body that circulates in a closed manner through the blood vessels. You can see the red part and then there is a black part. So, black means a deoxygenated blood and the red one is a oxygenated one. So, the oxygenated blood, it comes to heart from lungs by vein. Then from heart, it passes to, it goes through arteries and it reaches to blood capillaries. On this side is the opposite one is given. So, arteries, they carry, while again this deoxygenated blood, again it passes to heart by veins and from heart to lungs by artery. So, it is clear from the diagram that the blood circulates in a closed manner, and such closed manner circulation is called as closed vascular system. In some animals like insects, the blood flows through open spaces, and in that case the system is called as open blood circulatory system. Blood is never stationary. These are the characteristics of blood. It's never stationary. It always in circulation from heart to the arteries and back through the veins. Color. Its color is bright red when taken from an artery, or it's bright red or dark red. Volume. An average adult person, they contains 5 to 6 liters of blood. And taste, it's salty. You have tested, if we get a cut in our hands, what we do? Immediately we take our finger to our mouth. So, we can feel the taste of blood is salty. Functions of blood. Blood performs two main functions that comes under the transport and protection. So, blood helps in transport as well as protection. So, what they do in case of transport, at first they help in the transport of digested food. That is from the stomach to each and every part of our body. transport of oxygen from lungs to the tissues. Transport of carbon dioxide, that is from tissues to lungs. Transport of excretory materials from the tissues to the liver or kidney or skin. Distribution of hormones. They are mainly secreted by some glands, and the glands are called as endocrine glands. Distribution of heat. Blood helps in keeping the temperature of the body uniform by distributing heat. Next is the protection. So WBC, the blood, mainly the WBC part of the blood, they help in protection. So blood, they forms a clot, and whenever there is a cut, and platelets, they enable this clotting, that is, they protecting us. WBC, they defend the body against the infection and diseases. What they do, how they do this WBC, they protect the body from diseases by engulfing bacteria which may have entered the body. They produces antitoxins and antibodies that neutralize the poisonous substance or kill the germs which enter the body. Composition of blood. Blood consists of plasma and cellular elements. What is plasma? It is the liquid part of blood. It is colorless liquid and contains about 90% of water. Protein, 7 to 8% protein, and about 1% of inorganic salts are there. Inorganic salts means sodium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, and it also contains some organic substance in dissolved forms like glucose, amino acids, fats, urea, hormones, etc. Cellular elements that consist of RBC, which is also known as erythrocytes, WBC, leukocytes, blood platelets, thrombocytes. Now, the plasma from which the protein fibrinogen is has been removed, that is called as serum. Red blood cells. They are also called as oxygen carriers. Now, these red blood cells, they are minute biconcave disc-like structures. They are flat in the center and rounded at the periphery. Periphery means the surrounding. They are about 7 micron in diameter. And this small size of RBCs, it enables it, or it helps the red blood cells to travel through very fine capillaries. So, they are biconcave in structure. They are very small, about 7 micron in diameter. 1 micron means 1,000th of a millimeter. And this small size helps the red blood cells to travel through the very fine capillaries in the body, where they have to travel in a single file. Now, hemoglobin. Now, this hemoglobin, they are the effective chemical constituent of RBC. They are abbreviated as HB. That contains iron containing part, and the iron containing part of hemoglobin is called as hemin, and the protein, that is called as globin. And this hemoglobin, they has an ability to combine with oxygen. When they combines with oxygen, they are called as oxyhemoglobin. They can carry a very little amount, a very small quantity of carbon dioxide. So, when they combine with carbon dioxide, they are called as carbaminohemoglobin. Next, carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, this hemoglobin, actually, they also has a strong affinity for carbon monoxide. So, when they combine with carbon monoxide, they form carboxyhemoglobin. And this carboxyhemoglobin, it cuts down the capacity of blood of transporting oxygen. So as a result, the person is not able to get oxygen, and that led to the death of that person. That is why it is said that when we are burning something in our house, or when the furnaces, in that case, there is a burning in the furnaces, we must keep our ventilators open, or the doors of the room must be opened, so that carbon monoxide should not mix up with the blood. And if it gets mixed up also, we must get sufficient of oxygen. Next, life and deaths of RBC. In adults, the RBCs are produced in long bone marrows, the marrow of long bones, especially in ribs, breast bones, or ileum of hip girdle. In case of embryo, they are produced in liver and spleen. I had said you about spleen. Now, in children, the RBCs are produced in bone marrow of all bones until 5 years of age. RBCs, they do not have, mature RBCs, they do not have nuclei. So, mature RBC, the mature red blood cells do not have nuclei. That means immature red blood cells have nuclei. Yes, immature RBCs have nucleus, but due to increase in surface area or to maximize the absorption of oxygen, it lacks nucleus. So, immature RBC, they have nucleus, but as to serve with more and more oxygen, or due to increase in surface area, so to maximize the absorption of oxygen, they lack nuclei. The average lifespan of RBC is about 120 days. And old and weak RBCs, they get destroyed in the spleen, liver and bone marrow. So, we can go for blood donation within a gap of 120 days, because after 120 days, the blood RBCs gets destroyed. So, RBC, they lack nucleus. They also lack mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum. So, mitochondria means the red blood cells cannot use oxygen for themselves. Thus, all the oxygens absorbed from the lungs, it gets transported and delivered because there is no mitochondria. So, loss of mitochondria also means full transport of glucose in blood plasma. They do not contain endoplasmic reticulum also, means increased flexibility of RBCs, so that they can be passed through narrow capillaries. Next, white blood cells, which is also called as leukocytes. Now, these leukocytes, they have a nucleus and they do not contain hemoglobin. So, this is the difference between RBC and WBC. They contain nucleus and they do not contain hemoglobin. They are amoeboid. So, most of the WBCs are amoeboid and they can produce pseudopodia, with which they can squeeze through the walls of the capillary. So, whenever they are in contact to some infection, they can squeeze out of their capillaries and they can reach to that affected place. The picture shows a white blood cell oozing out of the blood vessels. Now, these WBCs are of two major categories. One is the granular and another is the non-granular. Granular means the cytoplasm contains the granules like neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils. They comes under granular WBCs. Neutrophil help to engulf bacteria, that is also called as phagocytosis. Eosinophil also engulf bacteria. Basophils, they release some chemicals. The chemical is histamine. They are all granular WBC. Next is a non-granular WBC. That means cytoplasm does not contain granules. They are lymphocyte and monocyte. Lymphocyte, they produce antibodies, and monocyte, they ingest germs. Function of leukocyte. Leukocyte help in phagocytosis. This is a neutrophil that engulf the bacteria engulf the particle-like solid substance, especially the bacteria. What is phagocytosis? It is a process in which most WBCs and particularly the neutrophils, they engulf bacteria. Inflammation. This inflammation, it occurs due to reaction of the tissue to injury or to some invasion of germs. Sometimes that inflamed spot becomes heat or redness or swelling or pain. Next is the formation of antibodies. Now these WBCs, they produce antibodies which help to kill or to neutralize the germs. So these are the functions of leukocytes. Origin and life of WBCs. The WBC, they are also produced in red bone marrow, lymph nodes, and sometimes in liver and spleen also. And their average lifespan is for 2 weeks. RBCs is for 120 days, WBCs is for 2 weeks. And they get destroyed in the same manner as RBCs. Blood platelets, which is also called as thrombocyte. Now, blood platelets are minute oval or round structures. They are non-nucleated and floating in the blood. They can float in blood. And their lifespan is about 3 to 5 days, and they got destroyed mainly in the spleen. And their main function is they help in clotting of blood, which is also called as coagulation. Now, this clotting means whenever we get some cut, we see that the blood is oozing out. But after some time, it stops. That is called as clotting. First is, there are some series of steps of this coagulation of blood. At first, the injured tissue cells and the platelets, that is at the site of wound, they release thromboplastin, which is also called as thrombokinase. Now, this thrombokinase, they act as an enzyme, and with the help of calcium ion, they help to convert prothrombin. Prothrombin is actually found in blood plasma to thrombin. Prothrombin is in inactive state and thrombin is the active state. So, thrombokinase in presence of calcium ion converts prothrombin to thrombin. The thrombin again in presence of calcium ion, they react with fibrinogen of plasma and convert it into fibrin. Fibrin then react with blood and forms clot. So the blood cells that are trapped in the network of fibrin, this network then shrinks and squeezes out the rest of the plasma, which in the form of a clear liquid called as serum. And the solid mass that is left behind, that is called as clot. So in this way, in these 3 steps, coagulation takes place. First step is the injured tissue cells or the platelets at the site of the wound, they release thrombokinase, which is also called as thromboplastin. Now this thrombokinase, it acts as an enzyme, and in addition to calcium ion, it converts prothrombin to thrombin. Then this thrombin in presence of again calcium ion, they react with the soluble fibrinogen that is also present in plasma to fibrin. Now the blood cells that are trapped in the network of this fibrin, the network gets shrink and they squeeze out the rest of the plasma in the form of serum, and the leftover solid mass is called as clot. So in this way, coagulation takes place. Next, blood transfusion and blood group. Now this blood transfusion means it's a way of adding blood to your body after an illness or injury. Whenever we need some extra blood due to some any type of operations or some injuries or illness, we need to take blood. That is called as blood transfusion. But for doing so, it is necessary that the kind or the type of blood to be transfused should match with the type of the blood of the receiving person. What the blood type the receiving person is having, the blood that is transfused to that person, it must match with that person's blood. So, there are several systems of blood groupings are there. First is the ABO system. So, according to this system, the human blood is classified into 4 types: A, B, O, AB. These are the 4 types of blood. So, according to this, blood O type can give blood to the all type persons of A, AB and B. The AB will be in this corner actually. So, according to this, O is called as a universal donor. Why? Because they can donate blood to A, B, AB. And AB is a type of blood that can receive blood from all types. They can receive from O, from B, from A. They are called as universal recipient. So, blood group O is called as a universal donor and blood group AB is called as universal recipient. AB will be in this corner. It has been shifted a little bit. Next, RH system. The RH system is another classification system often used in conjugation with ABO system. So, ABO system and RH system always they goes together. And this RH system, it indicates the presence of R antigen with the 2 possible types being Rh positive and Rh negative. Now, what do you mean by antigen? Now, antigen, it is a harmful substance which enters the body, which causes the body to make antibodies. So, it's a harmful substance which when enters the body, makes the body to make, says the body to make antibodies as a response to fight off diseases. Like an antigen is a common cold virus. Common cold virus is an antigen which causes the body to make antibodies which help the person to prevent from getting sick. So, there are 2 possible types of Rh antigens are there. One is Rh positive and another is Rh negative. So, people with Rh negative blood should get Rh negative red blood cells only. This is because that means the people with Rh negative should not get Rh positive blood. People with Rh negative blood should get Rh negative red blood cell only. This is because an Rh positive blood transfusion can cause a person with Rh negative blood to make antibodies against this Rh factor, causing a transfusion reaction. So, when a blood of such an individual like Rh positive is transfused to a person with Rh negative, the blood of the recipient develops an antibody for Rh substance within about 2 weeks of transfusion. Now, if a second transfusion be given to such negative person, the antibody produced by the first transfusion causes a reaction with the transfused blood, which may lead to the death. The first transfusion will be okay. The person will produce his own antibody. But same blood, if it is transfused for the next time also, the antibody produced by the first transfusion, they causes a reaction with the transfused blood, which may lead to death. Similarly, in case of this Rh negative woman, may become sensitive if she carries an Rh positive child in her uterus. The first Rh positive child will be normal. But if it synthesizes the mother, the second positive child be conceived soon, may have some blood problems. So students, let's come for this home assignment. First question. Given below are certain structures. Write the term for the functional activity. Blood platelets and dash. You have to write the functional activity. Neutrophils and dash. Erythrocytes and dash. Lymphocytes and dash. Bone marrow and dash. And question number 2 is state any 5 functions of blood. So we are finishing the first part of the circulatory system here. The next part we will be discussing in our next class. And I hope all of you understood till here. Thank you.